Hello everyone and welcome to another round of Tuesday Night Legacy presented by Spellhold Games. My name is Eugene and this is round 3 from March 29th. We have the two returning champions from the evening, Fred on 4 color control on the left and Jack on Ad Nauseam Tendrils on the right. So Jack is trying to win primarily through a combo of casting a ton of spells and storming off, whereas Fred is trying to stop everything that his opponent is doing. So, combo versus control. Let's see how it's going to play out. Let's go ahead and get into the action. We have Fred starting with a blue spell and a Tundra coming down. Ponder, get to look at the top 3 cards. Probably already has some sort of force of will in his hand or something of the sort, maybe a daze. That way the cantripping can start just from the start of the game, getting the best cards in his hand. We see a Ponder actually getting exiled here for the Chrome Mox, with another Ponder in hand. Chrome Mox, of course, only being able to tap for the color of the exiled card that is imprinted upon it. See a Badlands as well. Getting a little bit of mana ramp early in the game. Jack is going to want as much mana as possible once he starts storming off. Even though Chrome Mox is a 0 cast, sometimes you can just play it early in order to get some early advantage by, say, casting a Ponder. Now, he did shuffle off of that Ponder, didn't like the top 3 cards of the deck, so got all those gone and a fresh card into his hand. Even though he doesn't get to know what it is, it still generates him a little bit more value by making sure that he's not drawing bad cards. See a main turn brainstorm during the main phase. That's going to get a Caracas. Maybe Fred was looking for a land drop there. Caracas kind of an awkward land drop for turn 2, but if it's your only lands, then it's going to be okay. I could see keeping a 1-lander, especially with blue mana if you have 2 or 3 cantrips. All right, no land for Jack. No actions at all, actually, just a pass. We see a Ponder from Fred, and no land drop. So that is probably what happened last turn. So both of these players a little bit tight on mana. We do see a Lion's Eye Diamond and a Burning Wish in Jack's hand. Not entirely certain what else. If one of those is a Dark Ritual, then I think the Infernal Tutor can at least start setting up the combo here. Although Jack is probably a little bit scared to fire off just because we don't know what's in Fred's hand. We're going to see the Lion's Eye Diamond. And then we're going to see another Lion's Eye Diamond. So that's quite a bit of mana there. 4 cards left. He already has the Infernal Tutor, and he does have the Dark Ritual. That might be a Cabal Tutor. Dark Ritual. So Storm count 3. Going to decide if he's going to counter this particular one. This is going to ramp him into the mana that he needs basically to do everything else that he wants to do this turn. Fred's kind of deciding, do I stop it here or do I wait for the next spell to counter? It looks like he might have already said, yeah, go ahead. Jack doing a lot of math on his little notepad here, trying to decide if what he thinks is actually going to work. Probably a couple different ways that he can go. Maybe he's considering going and burning for a Thoughtseize. Got a Cabal Ritual, so just a little bit more mana. Pay 2 mana to get 3 mana, but he doesn't have Threshold. He would have gotten 5 mana. So we see the Infernal Tutor go off, holding the priority. Oh, it's a Past in Flames. It wasn't a Burning Wish. So Infernal Tutor, because he's Hellbent, is going to get him any card from his deck as long as Fred lets this resolve. Counting up the Storm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So at 5 Storm right now. If he Tendrils right now, that's only going to be... Oh, that's interesting. So he goes and gets a Thoughtseize. Wants to make sure that he can deal with the disruption that Fred has that is potentially in his hand. Does have 6 mana floating, and he still has a blue mana if he needs it. And I think he must have cracked for the LED for 3 red and 3 black. So we see the Thoughtseize go off, taking the Force of Will. So shields are down. Jack is ready to go. Counting him out. He's up to, I think, 7. So Past in Flames is going to give him access to all the instants and sorceries in his grave again. So he's going to be able to generate more mana with the Dark Ritual and Cabal Ritual. He's counting up, trying to see if he can flash back the Cabal Ritual and still have Threshold, but unfortunately he could not. We're going to see the Chrome Mox getting tapped. I think he's casting the Ponder. Casting both the rituals first. Up a good amount of mana. And we're going to see the Infernal being cast. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's Tendrils. So Tendrils is going to, at 20, or rather 10 Storm, going to lose the opponent 20 life. And that's going to be game. And there was no interaction, so we're on to game 2 here. All right. Not missing any land drops this time. We see a Ponder on turn 2. From Fred. He must have kept a lot of permission there. 2 back on top. Liked what he saw. And draw. We see at least 2 Brainstorms. It looks like a... Oh, is that a discard? Oh, no. Oh, Jack is stuck on a Badlands. He doesn't have access to blue mana, so he discarded one of his 2 Brainstorms that he has. Looked like he had all sorts of other gas. He's got the Dark Rituals, the Lion's Eye Diamond, but there's just not quite there. He's got the Infernal Tutor, too. Oh, man. Fred not missing any land drops this game. We're going to see Lavinia Azorius Renegade come down. This is definitely a sideboard card for Fred. Gonna really handicap Jack here. Can't cast cards with CMC greater than the number of lands he controls. So right now, until he gets 4 mana, Tendrils of Agony is, Tendrils of Agony, yes, is offline. Cannot cast it. And then, what was the second ability? Yes, if you don't spend any mana on a spell, then it's countered. So things like Lion's Eye Diamond and the Lotus Petals and stuff are just straight up countered. They don't have a mana cost in the first place, so you don't spend any mana to cast them. We see a Surgical coming down from Fred, taking all of the Brainstorms. Probably just wanted to make sure, see what it was in his hand. It was Brainstorm's a decent target in a fair way, kind of shutting down the ability of the Storm player to have that selection that they want. Oh, and then the Wasteland. So Fred is back, or Jack is back down to 1 mana. Taking the black mana from him. So all of these spells that ramp him so much, ooh, right off the top, got that black mana back. No green mana for the Veils, though. So just going to go ahead and pass it back. Right off the top. There we go. So Veil of Summer, making it so all of Jack's spells are uncounterable. And if Fred decides to, or if he had done it in response to Fred casting a blue or black spell, he could have drawn a card. And he also, his permanents have hexproof from blue and black until end of turn. Now, I think Jack has decided, like, this is where I'm going to go off. If the Veil of Summer resolves, then, uncounterable spells, this is the only chance. So I think Fred is really deciding whether he wants this to resolve or not. And he says, okay, go do what you're going to do. Starting with one mana. Nope. Unfortunately, that was a little bit of a misplay for Jack. The Lion's Eye Diamond, even though it does cost 0, the Veil of Summer would override the Lavinia ability, so he didn't have to bin that Lion's Eye Diamond. So down a little bit of mana here, but casting every other Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual in his hand, making all sorts of black mana. And we're going to see an Infernal Tutor. Did he grab the Burning Wish? I think he had the Burning Wish in hand. Looked away for just a second. Yeah, okay, so he's looking for a card. Of course, the Infernal Tutor, needing the Hellbent in order to get the selection. choosing a random card. Oh, Jack realizing that he can't cast the 4 CMC card. So he just went and got something that would help him later. I think, no, I actually talked to him, and I think he was looking for a storm card called Galvanic Relay, which is only a 3 cast. It would exile cards off the top of his deck for him to have more access to spells, but I guess he did not have it in his deck at that time. So he went and got Past in Flames instead, which got Force of Negation, so that card is exiled. He can't even flash it back from the grave. So we just see this Lavinia coming in for beats. Surgical Veil, yeah. Lavinia coming in for beats. We see the Sylvan Library generating advantage for Fred. Up to 3 cards in hand now. Jack being hellbent. Things are not in a great position for Jack anymore. We see a Ponder, and he's going to scoop it up. So that was unfortunate, but that's the way things go sometimes. You know, creature hate or creature-based hate is definitely a thing, and Lavinia is a very good hate bear in very specific circumstances. Into game 3 here, we see Ponders from both sides of the table. That card selection still being very important. Fred giving it the old shuffle. Doesn't like the top cards of his deck. Drawing a fresh one. All right. I think we definitely see that Brainstorm that's getting fired off from Jack. I think there's also a Thoughtseize there. I think there's a Veil of Summer. Got a couple cards. I think that's a Misty Rainforest too, so more than likely these 2 cards going on the top of the deck are not coming back. So Jack wants to make very certain that he's okay with getting rid of them. Yep, there goes the Misty. Brainstorm and Fetch Lands just being an excellent combination. Being able to sculpt your hand so perfectly. Get rid of dead cards. Just send them back. Shuffled away into the deck somewhere. Followed up by another selection spell. Getting another Ponder. Ooh, but don't like the top cards. So another shuffle and draw. And then I think it's just going to be a pass. The control doing control, but all of these card selection spells just not worth really countering or fighting over, since most of the time Fred is going to have card disadvantage in order to fight over spells being resolved. Ooh, but we are going to see a Pyroblast for that Brainstorm. Just 1 red. It's going to take out that Brainstorm. Pyroblast very good against blue decks. Jack thought about casting a 2 converted mana cost spell and decided against it. Expressive Iteration, one of the better card selection spells, getting to actually have access to 2 cards instead of just 1 card. And sending 1 card away to the bottom of the deck. Seeing a 3rd land. I think both of these players are a little light on land this game, but since they're in the same situation, it's not really generating advantage for either player. Counting the grave for Jack, at the moment, there's 5 cards. We're going to see another Surgical go off. Having to pay the life instead of casting the black mana. Seen empty the Warrens in Jack's hand. What did he choose? Chose Brainstorm again. Surgical Extraction is a pretty good graveyard hate spell. That was funny. Jack said, hey, while you're in there, can you just get my Tropical Island for me off of this Polluted Delta? Fred, being a sporting player, goes ahead and finds it for him. Alright, seeing a 4th land. That Tropical Island, getting that green mana that he needs to fire off one of these Veils if he wants to go hard this turn. And decides not quite there yet. I wonder what he's waiting for. I think he needs a lot of, like, 1 mana accelerant spell. Thoughtseize. Okay. What do you got? Got a Narset, Murktide, Force of Will, Mentor, Uro, and Prismatic Ending, and Endurance. Wow, that is a hand that can fit just about any situation. But it looks like we're going to take the Murktide Regent. Kind of taking away one of the bigger threats. Definitely the threat that he could play that next turn by delving away the graveyard. So Jack buying himself a little bit more time. So I think what he is intending to do here, if he Infernal Tutors, he's going to go and get another Lotus Petal, which would increase his Storm count and give him one more mana, but it would be -1 total mana instead of Mana Accelerant. Not sure. He definitely needs to be at least at 4 mana by the end of this in order to cast Empty the Warrens. Because Empty the Warrens is definitely going to be the win condition at this point. 3 mana is going to get him Narset, Parter of Veils. This is a really good blue Planeswalker in general. Shuts down extra drawing for your opponent, especially if your opponent wants to cast something like Brainstorm. Brainstorm becomes discard 2 cards out of your hand if you cast it with Narset on the field. And then it just generates you a lot of value as well. I mean, getting to look at the top 4 cards of your library and picking a non-creature, non-land spell. It's really good. Doing a lot more math here. Might have been a Dark Ritual. Every turn, just a little bit more math. So what? That's 5 lands in play. With this Narset down, well, the Brainstorms are already gone. So Ponder at least would be a look at the top 3 more than anything else. Veil of Summer going off. So here we go. Lotus Petal. 2 mana. Infernal Tutor. Shows the hand. Get another Lotus Petal into Lotus Petal. So 3 Lotus Petals. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spells once he slams down these other 2 Lotus Petals. He might fire off the other Veil just to get another Storm Trigger on the stack. So that's the 4 right there that he needs to cast the Empty the Warrens. That would only be for 6 at this point. He's casting another Infernal Tutor for another Lotus Petal. And so that's going to be all 4 Lotus Petals gets him the Goblins. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Empty the Warrens. 8. That's going to be 16 Goblins. With Fred at 18, he is hard pressed to come out of this. Not a lot of things that save him in this situation. I'm going to see a Brainstorm. Force of Will wasn't going to do it. Draw a billion cards. Put a couple back. That'll do it. So, Empty the Warrens getting a bunch of Goblins. And Engineered Explosives can destroy non-land permanents, convert mana cost equal to the number of charge counters. So you play the Engineered Explosive for 0, and then you pop it. And since the tokens don't have a converted mana cost, or it's equal to 0, the Engineered Explosives will destroy the Goblins. So no more Goblins, and turn continues. Or the game continues. We see a Burning Wish for a Past in Flames on Jack's side. I'm not sure why the Burning Wish was exiled. Oh, I think it exiles itself. So Narset can no longer activate, but it does just sit there with that static ability saying that can't draw extra cards. So that Ponder that Jack did is basically just look at the top 3. If you want to shuffle, you can. And that's it. See a Monastery Mentor come down. Monastery Mentor creating monks every time that Fred casts an instant or sorcery, or a non-creature spell, actually. So we saw a Force of Will for the Veil of Summer, and then a Cabal Ritual gets a Force of Negation, gets a couple extra monks. All of these guys have prowess too, so this is definitely the way that Fred's going to close out the game. Or at least that's the way he wants to close out the game. We see Lavinia come down for the second game. Jack checking the graveyard. Fortunately, that Past in Flames is exiled. Taking some damage. Might be a last-ditch effort here. 1 mana, Thoughtseize. Gonna fetch in response. That's interesting. I guess he could have another Force of Negation if he wants to. Kind of protecting the final card. I'm gonna get the Mystic Sanctuary. I think that put some sort of counterspell back on top. Make him discard Endurance. And gonna Tendrils for 2. So that's gonna drain him for 4. Put him down to 7. And Jack up to 10. Or 14. Although Jack is hellbent and he doesn't have a way to deal with these creatures. So in a little bit of trouble here. We're going to see Expressive Iteration. Make another monk. All these monks get pumped. Uro coming down. Generating some value. A lot of damage coming through. Is that enough? Nope, not quite. Ooh, drop. Just drew a land off the top. I think this is going to close it out here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's going to do it. Thanks for joining us for round 3. We hope you really enjoyed it. And if you like the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. And just to let you know, the next round is going to be the 4-color DAC pile versus a mono white painter list. We'll see you then.